This servant approaches the colonel's room door and enters inside. She informs him that the king wishes to invite him to attend a dinner party tomorrow evening. But instead of accepting the invitation, the young man is captivated by the proud beauty of the female servant. The servant immediately orders her to remove her clothes. If the servant hesitates even slightly to follow the order, then whatever happens next will happen. Job done. The colonel then instructs her to convey to the king that I will attend the dinner party. That colonel is named Stefan. He was assigned by the Hitler regime to command the royal guard of the former King Wilhelm II. Although overthrown due to 7 defeats in leadership roles, the country still regards him as a symbol. Thus, Stefan was tasked with protecting him. No other choice. Stefan immediately went to the Netherlands, where King Wilhelm II was in exile. Upon arrival, his gaze fell upon a maid named Mika. But work comes first. Stefan enters, and his assistant, Sirius, welcomes him to the place. He also specifically instructs him not to have any close relationships with the maids here. Meanwhile, Wilhelm II's wife, Hermine, hurriedly runs to find her husband to warn him that the Nazi army is here. She also believes that he is about to be restored to the throne by Hitler to rule the country. But in reality, Stefan followed the army here with the real purpose of monitoring Wilhelm II, observing his attitude towards the current state. Dietrich also revealed that the investigation inside the manor found a spy intending to assassinate Wilhelm II. Therefore, Stefan must be extremely vigilant. During dinner, Wilhelm kept rambling about stories from his reign, about the things he had done for Germany. But Stefan paid no attention, instead focusing on Mika serving the dishes around to change the atmosphere. Hermine changed the topic to ask Stefan, who shared that his father and grandfather also served in the military. His mother worked as a maid for wealthy families to make a living, but she died of a severe illness when he was young. Hearing this made Wilhelm angry because it was during his reign. He felt that Stefan's story seemed to mock his poor governing ability, although Wilhelm affirmed, I have dedicated my life to this country, but the German Navy has betrayed me and driven you into this path of exile. The atmosphere suddenly became silent until Wilhelm left. Because of this, Stefan returned to his room, but suddenly Mika appeared in the darkness. This time, she ordered him to remove his clothes, and of course, Stefan didn't hesitate to comply, and then the two of them ate roasted sweet potatoes together. After eating their fill, Mika hurriedly packed up and left. Stefan earnestly asked her to stay with him tonight, but Mika coldly returned to her room. Every morning was the same. Wilhelm was disheartened when hearing about the information from the Nazis because he no longer had any authority. Instead, Wilhelm chose to feed the ducks outside. This made his wife fearful because she believed her husband would soon return to the throne. Thus, spending the whole day in gloom was not good. Below, Mika came and brought more bread to the ducks, so Wilhelm invited her to stay with him to feed the ducks. At this moment, Stefan also arrived and overheard his conversation with Wilhelm. Mika learned that there is a spy from England in this house. Then Wilhelm asked Mika to show Stefan the new room he would be staying in the coming time, which is the room located within the manor so that Stefan can react promptly to ensure Wilhelm's safety. Stefan then took advantage of this private time to get acquainted with Mika. However, she warned him that staff members are forbidden to spend the night with men. Yet when Stefan asked where her room was, she didn't hesitate to answer before leaving. A while later, Dietrich went to meet Stefan to report that they had narrowed down the signal path of the spy located in this town. Mika ran into the town to meet Father Henrik. It turned out that she was the spy they had always been looking for. Mika was very worried because she was about to be discovered, but Henrik assured her that they didn't know much yet, so she could rest assured and continue with her mission. Early the next morning, Mika cleaned her pistol before putting it away to work. That evening, Father Henrik sent a message to his allies, unaware that Dietrich's men were intercepting his message. Meanwhile, Wilhelm woke up in his office, and seeing Mika tidying up, she took the opportunity to tell him something, but was interrupted when his wife appeared. When Mika returned to the room, she was surprised to see Stefan lying on his bed reading a book. He apologized for his rude behavior on the first night they met, but verbal apologies alone were not enough that night. Stefan helped Mika fill the void to make amends. Afterward, the maid asked him, "Are you someone who always follows orders?" And Stefan immediately answered yes. "So what if one day you find out I'm not who you think I am?" But Stefan insisted that he didn't care because he had truly fallen in love with her. Early the next morning after returning, Stefan suddenly smelled gun oil on the ammo pouch he took from Mika's bedside cabinet. But he didn't pay much attention and went to meet Dietrich. He reported that they had confirmed the signal of a spy in the town, so tonight the army would diligently search for him. Dietrich also told Stefan to inform Wilhelm that General Himmler, Hitler's powerful right-hand man, would be coming here for dinner tomorrow. Therefore, Dietrich requested a thorough inspection of the entire manor to ensure safety before Himmler arrives. After Stefan reported this information to Wilhelm, during breakfast, Hermine met and spoke privately with him. She emphasized that Himmler's visit could pave the way for her husband to regain power. Hermine also assured Stefan that they remain wholeheartedly loyal to Hitler. But with Germany's current dire state, the people desperately need a king to respect. So it wasn't a coincidence that she was the one who deliberately invited Himmler here for dinner. Therefore, she hoped Stefan would forget the unpleasant things Wilhelm had said, just so that Himmler could see the positive aspects of Wilhelm and his family. The manor inspection was promptly carried out. This made Mika extremely worried. Meanwhile, Stefan was the one checking Mika's room to prevent her from being discovered, because he already suspected her of being a spy. After checking, Stefan hurried back to his room and felt relieved, because her concealed gun was not detected. Mika hurriedly left the manor but was inadvertently seen by Stefan. The woman went to the church to meet Henrik that evening, reporting to him about Himmler's visit. The next day, she suggested killing him, but the priest reminded her that it was not her duty. However, Mika still anguishedly said that Hitler's dictatorship killed her father and husband, so she really wants to kill them to take revenge. Seeing Mika's determination, Henrik promised to ask their allies whether they could carry out that assassination. But neither of them knew that Stefan was outside and was eavesdropping on their conversation. That night, the priest sent Mika's message to London. But this inadvertently allowed Dietrich's men to locate and raid him to arrest him. Unaware of the impending danger, Mika continued to sneak into Stefan's room seeking comfort. As she was about to leave, Stefan suddenly unexpectedly proposed to her. If she agreed, he promised to protect her for the rest of his life. Thinking that a romantic moment was about to occur. But before Mika could respond, someone suddenly rushed in and caught them in the act. This matter was immediately reported to Wilhelm. His wife insisted that they must be fired. But Wilhelm wanted to speak with them privately. Before making a decision, instead of getting angry, Wilhelm appeared very pleased with their relationship. He admitted that he had also had children with other women. So if he punished them outright, it would make him appear hypocritical. Therefore, he supported the couple continuing their relationship, but more discreetly. Immediately afterward, Stefan was called to meet Dietrich. He discovered that they had captured the priest and were torturing him. To extract information, Dietrich assured Stefan that they would identify who the spy was. That day, Stefan was extremely worried and quickly returned to the manor. But before he could warn Mika about the priest's capture, Himmler arrived. After a few greetings, Himmler was led to his room. Stefan took the opportunity to warn Mika that Henrik had been captured and was being interrogated. Feigning ignorance, the maid asked why he was telling her this. But Stefan didn't answer and continued to ask, "Why did you agree to spend the night with me from the beginning? Were you intentionally taking advantage of me?" He recounted how he had followed her to the church and smelled gun oil from her room. That's why he knew she was the spy. With nothing left to deny, Mika told him to do his duty and arrest her. But Stefan truly didn't want to do that. He ordered her to leave immediately, but Mika insisted on continuing her assassination plan. Meanwhile, Hermine went up to Himmler's room to attempt a bribe. He hoped that he would support her husband's restoration to the throne. As a result, Himmler took a walk with Wilhelm that late afternoon. A few hours later, Hermine saw her husband sitting alone, just as she had hoped. Wilhelm announced that he had been invited back to Berlin. His wife was very excited about their glorious future. But Wilhelm advised her to keep everything a secret. On this side, as Stefan was trying to gather more information from Dietrich's interrogation, suddenly, Himmler arrived and discussed a few matters with them. It turned out that bringing Wilhelm back to the throne was not a good idea after all. The main purpose was to lure and eliminate those who remained loyal to the monarchy. Himmler ordered both of them to block all communications inside and outside Wilhelm's manor, then report back to him during dinner. Himmler believed that disabled individuals would be a threat to the country's development. Therefore, he was involved in an experiment where disabled people were quickly eliminated using a drug injected directly into their brains. Hearing this, the people at the table were horrified. Shortly after, Himmler and his group also left. Wilhelm and Hermine watched them leave with heavy hearts. Because they did not want to return to the throne but had to witness the government's atrocities. Wilhelm went alone into the forest to think further, while his wife returned to the room. After they left, Stefan then approached Sigurd, and asked him to warn Wilhelm that Wilhelm's return to Berlin was a trap to lure his supporters, revealing Stefan. Then, running to the room, he found that she had disappeared. At this time, the maid was in the forest, to transmit a message from the British Prime Minister to Wilhelm. Immediately after, Stefan heard the maid calling for help, and said that Wilhelm had collapsed in the forest. Dietrich and Hermine quickly ran to check on Wilhelm. Meanwhile, Mika rushed into the house with Stefan. At this moment, Stefan received a call from Dietrich, informing him that the priest had identified the spy. It was Mika. Upon hearing that, Mika immediately fled. Stefan pulled her back, and she drew her gun and pointed it at him. However, he reminded her that Dietrich's men were already on their way here, so she would not be able to escape alone. He begged her to trust him this time, and that there was no other choice. Mika had no choice but to lower her weapon. To avoid suspicion, the colonel called. The entire guard of the manor immediately sealed off the area, before running away with Mika. Meanwhile, Hermine found her husband sitting collapsed on the ground. He told her that he had received an invitation to Wilhelm, and a promise to ascend the throne after the war ended. However, he refused. Instead, he decided to continue staying in the Netherlands with her. This time, Hermine agreed with her husband's decision, and the two of them embraced each other in tears. Immediately after, Dietrich and Stefan arrived in a truck to transport Wilhelm to the hospital. They placed him in the back of the vehicle. Then Stefan quickly drove away, without allowing his wife and assistant to come along. This was so he could meet Mika in the forest and ask her for help. They quickly explained the situation to Wilhelm, so he allowed her to hide in his truck. However, when they approached the gate, Dietrich's men had also appeared there. Stefan ordered Mika not to move and handed her a gun. He stepped out of the vehicle and told Dietrich that he would take Wilhelm to the hospital. The inspector believed their top priority was to find the spy. Stefan responded, "Then that is your mission, while my duty is to protect Wilhelm's life." But before they were allowed to leave, Dietrich insisted on checking the vehicle to ensure safety. Mika then took a pill from her pocket and put it in her mouth. If she were caught, she would swallow it immediately. But as the back door of the vehicle was opened, Stefan used his gun to kill Dietrich and his men. Then he quickly drove away after reaching a safe place. Mika thanked Wilhelm for saving her life. It was time for her to leave this place and she asked Stefan to go with her. But he refused to leave the country. Mika then showed concern and said, "But if you don't escape from here, you will surely be executed." Stefan replied, "Don't worry, I will lie that you and Wilhelm went to the hospital and that the spy killed the inspector. This is why earlier you used your gun to take down those men." This means they had to part ways in a fleeting moment of tenderness. Stefan once again requested, "Mika, please agree to marry me." Mika replied, "Then you have to find me after the war, and we will think about it then." A few months later, Mika returned to work in Berlin and unexpectedly received a package from him. And to her surprise, it was the book that Mika had sent, with the address of where she was on the first page. By then, she had safely returned to London and was pregnant with Stefan's child. What do you think about this movie? Please leave your comments below so we can know. Thank you for watching.